So thank you so much again, very much for coming, Deanne. You are the president and the CEO of Washington County Small Business Association, which means that you're overseeing all the businesses pretty much in Washington County. And I have 2 locations, so it's just the most appropriate thing to have you as our first maybe talk for Send Small Business. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation to be here. The Washington County Chamber has had, a great opportunity to interact with many small businesses for many, different issues. Prior to changing our name and our rebranding for the Washington County Chamber, we were the Hillsborough Chamber of Commerce, and we were 127 years old. So for many, many years, we've been doing this kind of work and interacting with our small business community.
Yeah, and every time I've had interactions with Hillsborough Chamber and now Washington County Chamber, it's been a very pleasant interaction with everyone in your team. So thank you so much, and we really appreciate you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate hearing that.
Yeah.
I'm really blessed to have a really strong team.
Yes.
Passionate about the work that we do.
Yes. So how do you go about choosing the team members that you have to make such a good body of team that everyone's watching out for, everyone else and making sure that the machine is working pretty well?
Well, definitely looking at people that on my team that are passionate about small business, that understand, what it takes to run a small business, that are willing to sacrifice a little bit. We're the nonprofit world, so we don't pay as well as like the private sector, but there's a lot of passion and a lot of reward that you can get helping a small business succeed. So, taking it from a concept and an idea and having interactions with a business owner, and you can tell that they're putting everything into this and they really want to be successful. And if we can help them by providing additional resources, services, connections, and contacts, that's really a great day.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, I've never thought of it that way, that it's not so much about a career path as much as it is about a calling, particularly to help small businesses, because to them, it's not about the pay, but in private sector would be more, it's more about what differences they're making to, people like me who are trying to make a vision and a dream happen, So
absolutely. And as you know, small businesses' success really is the foundation of all of our communities. So if you're community minded, if you're entrenched in your community, watching and helping small businesses that help to become the fabric of our local communities, really important and very gratifying.
Really, I appreciate that. And you guys have taken on a lot more different foundational elements around the chamber. I know that there's the Black Advisory Chamber, there's the Latino Advisory Chamber, and all of this. Can you speak a little bit about all these new things that are happening?
Absolutely. We have 5 diversity councils. We have our first one we started out with was our Latino Business Advisory Council, and that's been long standing. And then in 2019, we were approached by some Black business owners that said, we'd like to have a voice and a place and a space. So we launched our Black Advisory Business Council. Shortly thereafter, another member came forward that was of the LGBTQ plus community and also wanted to have a place and a space where their community could meet within the Washington County Chamber. And then after that, it was very natural for us to make sure that the veterans also had a place and space. So we have 5 different councils. We had an opportunity to come all together and do a networking mixer last Friday. It was absolutely sensational to see the kind of work that all of these councils are undertaking, making sure that they're not only celebrating their own community, but also how it crosses over with the other councils as well. So probably one of the most rewarding opportunities I've had in my entire career is bringing the councils together, seeing that they have a place and a space, an empowered voice within our organization.
That's amazing. And obviously, we're now starting to see a shift in business and the business environment with all this diversity. Obviously there was diversity, but now it's more enhanced in terms of acknowledging, the Latino, the Blacks, and LGBTQ and the veterans and all the things. But as a whole, you guys are helping the whole business environment. So talk a little bit about what you see the future of small businesses going in terms of post-pandemic. and now we're coming into inflation, recession. What do you think, as a small business owner, we should be preparing for?
Well, there's nothing, more, I would say, important than the resiliency of small business and the fact that COVID was, brand new for everybody, right? There was no blueprint you were taking off the shelf saying, oh, this is how I run my small business under COVID. We'd never experienced it. And so there were lessons learned out of that from a small business perspective, understanding cash flow, understanding how they, maybe more cash on hand. The idea of the government coming in and shutting down your business due to a virus had really never crossed our minds. We hadn't really talked about it. And now that we know that can happen, we can be smarter, we can be more prepared. So you come out of COVID, difficult times, rebuilding your customer base, and here comes a labor crisis, right? So now it's like, oh my goodness, we can't get labor the same way we were able to and to attract. And if you do, it's more expensive. Right? So we're getting very sophisticated as small business owners, aren't we? Right? Yeah. It's like the hits keep coming.
Yeah.
So then we've got that as an issue. So even though you might be able to open up 100%, if you don't have the labor to be able to do that, the economy's still not going to be completely rebound.
Right.
And then on top of that, you see interest rates beginning to rise, which also, creates problems for small businesses that are looking for capital investments or things like that.
Right.
And then inflation, which makes the cost of you providing your product or service to your customer base more expensive.
Right.
So you have to make choices. Do I move that cost onto my customer? How am I going to balance keeping my customers, but also being able to, I understand inflation and the impact it's going to have on my business.
Right. So from all of this that we're talking about, it can create a lot of fear and apprehension, right, to small businesses, especially since we just got really hammered by pandemic, and now we're coming into a recession, the inflation, and just the cost of doing business is really, really high. What hope is there? Is there any hope?
There's always hope. There's always hope. Again, small businesses are very resilient. When you decide to open your small business, you're dedicating your passion, your resources, maybe some of your friends and family resources to it. You have a belief, you have a dream. You're moving forward with that dream. There's not a lot that can get in your way, right? And that's what I think draws me to small businesses is they're very hardy. It's kind of like, bring it on. Yeah. When I think back to, when the Hillsborough Chamber started, 127 years ago, think about the types of things that small businesses were challenged with in that time, right? They made it through.
So you're telling me we need true grit.
We need true grit. We do. I think you have it, right?
Yeah.
If you've gone through the pandemic, I still have, businesses that are like, I remember that Great Recession of, 2008, 2009. I made it through that. These are all sort of landmarks in your growth and your prosperity, yeah. and it makes you stronger. You know that it does. Yeah. You learn from that. Yeah. You might make mistakes during it, but you absolutely learn. And what that does is it makes you more resilient.
So you're smarter. Yeah. So then a little bit of it is just being able to pivot just a touch, keeping true to your foundations and fundamentals, your true customers, right? But also looking ahead with hope, knowing that whatever it is, you can weather the storm, right?
Absolutely. And I think that, it's also, staying close to your customers, having, conversations with them as you are growing and changing and pivoting, making sure you don't get too far away from your customer base, right? Checking in with them, but also staying current with technology. Yeah. I think there was a lot of small businesses that really didn't have a very strong online presence during COVID. Right. And all of a sudden, that's their only line of business. Right. So immediately it was like, how do I get my business online? How do I start accepting, electronic currency? How do I do takeout orders? All of those things. Yeah. So we've learned all that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So then how do we take this forward and look at the next challenge in front of us, which is, a high rate of inflation, potential of a recession. Everybody keeps talking about it. Yeah. It looks like there's going to be something happening.
Yeah.
And then you look at what that's going to bring. What is it going to mean to your business? And you sort of, hunker down and figure out, okay, here's where I'm vulnerable, right? And maybe double down on those areas where you might be vulnerable.
Right. But also making sure you're connected to the community of small business owners.
Right. I mean, there's communities, they want to do business with small businesses. They understand that, again, the strength of the small business community is the reflection of their community.
Right.
And so they love the idea of the mom and pop, growing up in their community and prospering and hiring, their son, daughter, their husband, wife, whatever, and them working in that environment. That's that's what makes a community really flourish.
And saying that, I feel like the small business in small America, you know what I mean? Like in Main Street area, will have a better way of surviving just because we want to make sure that we can connect with them. I don't know if that's a true statement. Maybe I'm just being hopeful because I have my business in small town on Main Street. So what would you say about that? With a company that is maybe medium-sized and, they're not a large corporation, but they're also not a small business, how would they survive based on, what's happening in the current economy? Same principles apply?
They do. I think it's all kind of really basic from that perspective of learning, connecting. There's a lot of networking that can happen from, especially if it's an industry-specific networking. You can talk to others and find out how they have, how they've weathered through, right? What kind of practices are they putting in place that might help to make sure that you're able to make it through, some of these more challenging situations. The supply chain issues have been really hard for manufacturers, for retail that aren't able to get their product, in a timely fashion. And that changes because retail goes by seasons, right? Right. They bring in the stuff for summer and they bring in the spring and when the supply chain's off, that changes everything, right? And now you have to rethink, how much inventory do I bring on? Can I get it? How soon do I have to order? Do I have the cash flow to pay for it?
Right. So thinking ahead, even not only months, but years advance would be the best way to go with the recession, right?
Well, I think definitely, I know businesses have cycles and they do think, years ahead. Some of them have, a 5-year plan that is, starts out with their goals for sales, maybe over year 1 and 2, and gets a little farther, in terms of what kind of capital do I want to invest in? If I'm a tenant, do I want to own a building? Those kinds of things are a little further down. And they just build a pathway to start achieving those goals.
Right. And can the chamber help businesses that are thinking of doing something like that? Small businesses that are thinking, well, I want to map it out, but I don't know who to map it out with.
Absolutely. If we have lots of connections with Small Business Development Center, which is run through PCC, with other organizations. We have a great network of businesses that have been around for a very long time and have lots of lessons. And there's nothing better than, having a seasoned small business owner mentor a new small business. And they get a lot of, they get a lot back from that sharing of that. It fills their tank.
Yes. I love it. So what advice would you have for customers in terms of supporting their small businesses?
Get out there and spend money with their small business, right? And I know that it's tough, when you see in high inflation, when you see that families are struggling, but think about, where you're buying from. And if you have an opportunity to go and buy from a small business, I would encourage you to do that. It makes a big difference. And especially understand when that small business, might be their downtime and try to really support them during that time. So understanding, if you're a type of business where you're seasonal and you get really busy in the holiday time, you should still do business. But if January, after the holidays is really slow, make sure you stop in and spend a little money, because that's kind of cold. That it gets to be kind of the winter season there, right? There's also ways where you can support in gift certificates and gift cards. So if you don't know, where if you're buying a gift and you don't know what they want,
Yeah.
there's a great opportunity to buy a gift card. That's really helpful.
Right. Yeah, I do agree with you. I think we have a responsibility to make sure that we do support small businesses because they're in the community for us, you know. So it's a circular symbiotic relationship that's happening there.
Right, the money it recirculates back into our local economy at an exponential fashion.
Yeah. So this may be maybe a question we've already tackled, but maybe you could give it a different light. But how do you see small businesses ascending, you know, pun intended, ascending small businesses in the near future?
Well, I think that definitely it's, again, about looking at what challenges face them,
Right.
you know, finding resources to be able to tackle those challenges. But again, every time that they come up against a challenge, they tackle it, there will be more challenges, but they're stronger,
Right.
And they're more confident.
Yeah.
I think it's also, you know, there's a matter of confidence. It's really difficult when you first open your doors. You have all this passion for a business, and you're like, "Will I make it? Will I?" You know, and you know, you get a couple of months under your belt, and you move on. You tackle a couple of challenges, and you feel that strength. Like, I got this, right?
Yeah.
I got this.
Yeah.
That inner strength, I think, is what helps. You know, come up against challenges and face those challenges and know that you have the ability to tackle those challenges, find solutions. And also, I mean, again, the chamber is a place where you can come to and say, I don't know how to do this, right?
Yeah.
Do you know somebody that can help me?
Yeah.
And boy, we have a lot of connections out in the community.
Right.
We have a lot of people that we could connect
Yeah.
our small businesses with to help them, you know, on specific challenges.
Yeah. What's that saying that says, as long as you keep moving, something in motion?
Yeah, something about not standing still.
Right.
Right.
You have to keep moving forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as long as it's not stranded, it will sort itself out. So
Right.
yeah, there's hope there.
There's always hope.
Yeah. So what motivates you to do the work that you're doing with the chamber and for the small businesses?
Well, hopefully you can feel my passion for small business and just my local community, right? I'm a native Oregonian. I've lived in Washington County my entire life. I've seen lots of businesses that have started up, and you know, I see the passion. It's all connected to their community, wanting to make a contribution, wanting to help support the community. There's really, I mean, it's just great work, right?
Yeah.
It's interesting, and I want to help.
Yes. And I can attest to it. You guys have been great supporters for our small business. We've had you over to ribbon cut our business. You've supported us in many resources. And I think being a part of the chamber is a very important membership for any business to take on. And we really appreciate that opportunity. Is there any one thing that you've noticed successful businesses have done to power through, you know, different issues like the pandemic and now the recession?
I think it's, you know, seeking out resources, so asking for help. You know, oftentimes it's difficult for a small business to ask for help.
Yeah.
They think, I think I'm supposed to know all this.
Right.
I'm afraid if I ask for help,
Right.
that they'll think that I shouldn't be in business.
Right.
And it's not at all like
Yeah.
that. There's so many things and so many different aspects of business that we can't know it all.
Mhm.
So, you know, there's no problem,
Yes.
no harm in holding up your hand and saying, you know, I've got this part really down good, but this pricing my product, I'm really struggling with. Let's find you somebody to talk to,
Right.
That can walk you through how you make that decision. It's not taking the decision away from you.
Yeah.
It's helping you understand what the options are to that decision-making process.
Empowering you to be successful.
Yes, and just
Yeah.
adding a little bit of knowledge
Yeah.
to that decision-making
Yeah.
process, right?
Yeah.
Giving you maybe a different angle to look at it.
Yeah. You don't have to know everything.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, businesses, they start a business because they have a great passion, or they have a great product, or they have a great service.
Mhm.
And that doesn't mean that they're also great at reading a financial statement,
Right.
or that they're great at, you know, at hiring employees. So figure out what you're really great at,
Yeah.
figure out where you have challenges, and support those areas where you have challenges.
Right.
There's tons of resources that we can come wrap around a small business to help support.
I agree with you. I totally do. I think the best thing is never to be a jack of all trade, is to find somebody else that knows how to do something else really, really good, and just partnering with them.
Absolutely.
Then, you get to look good at the end of it all, but you had somebody else help you along the way. But I like that. I like that. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Well, I mean, thank you very much for this opportunity. I love to talk about small businesses, and your business is fabulous, and you're a great example of what it takes to grow a business. And you have 2 locations now. So,
Yeah.
was that your vision to have 2 locations, or what's your vision?
Oh, my vision is to bring tea time closer to you. That way we can break the barriers of tea time. I think in the Northwest, we've really enjoyed coffee, and coffee is king, but I think tea is queen, and we need a place for it. And yes, I would love to have multiple locations, but I want to make sure that obviously it makes sense, especially for small business owner, and more importantly, providing quality service and quality product. So that's my whole goal and vision, is to be able to bring tea closer to home and make the experience even better.
Well, I think that's what's really unique about small businesses now is, right, they're not only thinking about their product and service, but they're thinking about what that customer experience can be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, you're thinking about, how do I make it not just tea,
yes,
but a real experience with tea.
Exactly.
Right? That makes them remember, right?
Yes.
It's all about the memories that then brings a customer back.
Yes, I agree. And creating traditions and the moments in time. So yeah, that's you nailed it. You nailed it.
Well, you did.
You got it right. That's what we want to do for Mamansi. But we're so grateful to be in Washington County. We're so grateful to have you guys be a partner with us in terms of small business and in all that you guys do. It's a lot of work, but we really appreciate it. If we haven't told you, we might be taking you guys for granted a little bit, expecting you to be there when we make a phone call, but
not at all.
Deanna, you have an awesome team, and you guys are doing such a great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for visiting at Ascend Small Business.
Thank you.
How can anyone get in touch with you?
Absolutely. I always tell people they can call me on my cell phone. I answer it. It's 503-473-4486. You can find us on the web at www.washingtoncountyczamberor.org.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely have that listed. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.